Well, welcome back everybody to G Bear's Homesteading the Desert. First, let's start off by saying I apologize for giving you some of you Joneses for not posting in a couple of days, but I've been lazy. What we're looking at down here is the 3-inch sewer line that comes out of the cabin, and that's where it ended before, right there, just a little past the end of the cabin. So I had to bring it out a little further, so what I did was I trenched all the way through here, and then I got my line out to here now. And then I'm going to put a tank here. I've got to dig down deeper, but I hit some really hard ground there, so I figure I'll let some of the gray water run down there and soften it up. And you can see how it's cracking. It's like the base of a dry lake bed. And I started looking around here, and if you actually look at the horizon all the way around the mountains, you can see this was probably at one time bottom of the lake bed. So that's pretty interesting. And anyway, so I did get this in there. I added another 40 feet of pipe, and I'm going to put my big tank here, and then I'll run some leaching off of there in case I overfill it and I forget to pump it. It doesn't back up into the cabin. So it's not really a leach, it's an overflow pipe. And then I'll be able to pump out of that tank and use that water for irrigation on trees and stuff. All right, let's move along down the line. I got to start getting everything put away here for the winter. And we're going to come in here first. I want to show you something I've been doing. This is one of those Spanish onions. They're about that big around, white, and they have the green onion stems on it. And that was what was left of one after I used it. So I put it in some water and I rooted it, and now I'm going to transplant it. And this is a leftover stalk of celery. You can see the roots on it now. So that's ready to go into soil too. And what I'll probably do is put them into some small pots, and maybe even clear off this shelf and put them right there on that shelf for a little while until they get stronger. Because we have been getting a little cool at night. Although last night, well, it wasn't cool. It was hot. And I was cooking in here and got up and opened some windows. Right now, you can see it's 80 degrees, 21% humidity. Basically no wind. This thing always says it's going to rain, but no rain. There was supposed to be a chance of rain today, and we just laughed about that, me and one of the neighbors up the ways. All right, let's move into here. I'll show you some other laziness I did. Oh my God, I got baseboard, I got walls painted, I got the light in, I got the pipe cut through for the tankless water heater. Has gone through the roof now, so that's all done. Remember, this is not a store-bought fan. I made this thing pretty much from scratch. The only thing I bought was that box part right there, and then of course I bought a couple of sockets, and I set this thing up, and here we'll shut off that light and we'll turn on the fan. And now I have an exhaust fan with 2 subtle lights in here, and you can see it's not really bright in here. If I shut this off and turn this one on, it gets bright in here. So, and this one has 2 bright LEDs in it, and that's the one that I'll use when I'm shaving and showering and things like that. Or I might even use this one for showering because it's subtle. You don't need a lot of light, especially if you've been showering for a while. You know where all your parts are, and you know what you have to wash. So you don't even need to see it. You don't have a mirror in there. You don't have to see what you're doing. So I got my my tub spout on, and I got my valve cover on, and I got my shower head in. And this was the shower curtain and rod and rug that was donated by one of my followers, DK. She's a subscriber. And I've got all of that set up. I bought this rack for $5 and brand new, and I like it. So that's how I'm going to do that. And then in this corner here, I'll end up putting a little corner shelf in here, just to hold little things like, maybe some aftershaves and things like that. And then I bought this little towel bar or towel ring that holds the small towel for the sink here. I got my teepee holder here. Oh, look, we have a toilet. Oh, and there's water in it. Cool. And then that shower, that's for the shower, the towel bar for the shower. So once I finish showering, shut off the water, slide the curtain back, and then I can reach out and grab my towel right there. It's nice and handy. Now, this whiteboard down here was donated by JK when she donated the siding. She also bought some of this white stuff, and it's plastic. It's not wood. So I split it down the middle on my table saw. So I got twice as many pieces. She had bought 7 pieces for me, and now I have 14 pieces. So I used it for baseboard in the bathroom here. You see how I did a return here at the end? It's a nice little rustic look. But it's all actually siliconed up against where it is. And then I made a little fine strip there to go where the tub is, so that the wood floor tub area didn't look hokey. So because you have to have a little space there. There's for expansion. So it's got spacing all the way around, but now that's covered up by the moldings here. I also threw a coat of paint over my clean out there because I want it to pretty much just disappear. And then I'm going to be building, or I'm going to see if I can buy one cheap, is a cabinet. And I'm going to look for a specific one that can go right on this wall. If I can't get that, I will build it myself. And once I put that on there, that's where I'll keep all the extra toilet paper, extra face cloths and towels and things like that. So you can see I painted up and 1 foot down from the top there. And you're wondering, why didn't you paint around the shower area too? Well, specifically because I'm going to be putting FRP on those walls, and probably really soon here. I might run in and pick all of that up tomorrow and pick up a couple of sheets of the ceiling foam so that I can get that in place here. And then this bathroom is done. And I can move on and start drywalling. And I'll do the drywall videos for you on the bedroom when I'm doing that. But back to why I didn't paint. When you put FRP on, you use FRP adhesive. FRP adhesive will not stick to painted surfaces. You'll end up with the stuff falling off the wall as soon as it gets hot and warmed up with the water. So you leave that to being bare drywall or mudded drywall, and just give it a nice smooth surface so you don't have holes and bumps and things like that in your FRP. Now, also, FRP comes in 4x8 sheets. Well, this wall is 5 feet across. So they make these plastic pieces that you put where you seam them. Well, I'm not going to put a 4 foot and a 1 foot. That's going to look hokey with a seam down the one side. So I'm going to do a 4 foot down the center and then 2 6-inch pieces in the corner. And that makes it easy when I'm putting it together and I have to slide the pieces into the T moldings. And then on the end molding, it doesn't get anything on the back part there because the corner pieces only slide over one piece. Then they butt up against the other one. So when I butt them up, I put some fast dry silicone, waterproof bath silicone down the corner, and then I press the FRP in there, and that seals the corners and makes them totally watertight. And then there's a little space gap there, so I'll be using the same splicer pieces. They're T pieces that where you put 2 pieces of FRP together. I'll be putting one around the base of the tub, so that piece of FRP will stick down into that. So when water hits it, it has to roll off and go down into the tub. It doesn't go behind the tub. So I'll have a nice watertight seal here when I get done. All right, that's about all we have here. I did put on some switchblade covers, and had some extra mud left over, so I just kind of like filled in a little deep spot there that had to be filled. So I got to make some room in here so I can start working. This is my drywall sanding unit, and they used to rent these at Home Depot. I don't know if they still do or not, but that's a vacuum cleaner that is hooked up to this sanding wand right here, and this uses a stick-on or hook and loop type sanding disc on here, and you get those in different grits. This is a fine grit because I use it to do a quick sand on there, and this is not a cheap unit. When I was still doing construction, I bought that because every time we went to Home Depot to rent one, idiots had rented it before and damaged it. And I'd get it to the job and something wasn't working, the cable inside was broken or something like that. Oh, what a pain in the neck. So I ended up buying one. And this unit together was like $1,500 for the two pieces and the hose. So it's not cheap, it's not an easy thing to buy, but it sure is nice because it's dust-free sanding. I can sand all day long and maybe get a half a shot glass of dust in the room. And you only get a little dust when you pull the thing away from the wall to move to another wall. Other than that, there's hardly any dust whatsoever. It's a great little tool. So I'll be using that when I do the rest of this. And I'm going to set up the camera so I can show you taping a mid joint. And I do mine sideways when I can across the wall because that means I only have one tape joint to do across that whole wall right there. And then a corner. So if I'd have gone up 4 foot and 4 foot, I'd have had a down a corner and then probably a little piece on the end here if it was more than 8 feet. So I just like doing them this way where I've got hardly anything. Now here I went upright. You can see them upright because when I measured it out, that was going to be the most efficient way of not wasting drywall, was going up and down. Then over here again, I switched back to horizontals. And that came right to the end of the door with an 8-foot piece, and then just one piece down the other side. Then over here, I went back to horizontals because this is a 16-foot add-on. So 8 and 8, 16 feet. One seam down here, one seam all the way across the wall. That's it. So a lot less taping and mudding. And I'll show you when I do taping and mudding. These joints here are recessed. They actually are pressed and hollowed out so that you can put tape in there without having a lump in your wall. So I'll show you when I do that. The first coat, I do it fairly smooth, but I'm not really critical about it. And then when that dries, I just use my knife and I knock down any high spots that are on there. And now I didn't have to sand. Now I'm ready to put a second coat on. Now the second coat I like to be a little bit neater, as instead of using a 6-inch blade, I'm going to be using a 10-inch blade on the next one to go further across. And that way I can feather out to the drywall. And then when I run my final sand across there, all I'll have to do is come back with a little bit and just fill in any low spots that were skips, or if you pick up a little piece of dry drywall on your knife, you'll end up with a line through it. Don't play with it. It's not worth your time. Leave it there. When it dries, run a quick sand across there. If it still shows, just put a little bit on there and feather it out. It'll be done. That's part of the thing. I'll show you that in actual and physical motion when I'm doing it. For right now, I'm going to knock off, pour myself a glass of wine on the rocks, and get ready to cook my dinner. The girls are all fed. It's a nice warm day. Relaxing. So that's about all, people. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I'm sorry, I'll promise I'll try not to skip so many days in the future, but you know me, I'm lazy. I never do anything. G-Bear signing off.